This is a letter to my good friends north of the border in Canada. As somebody who spent a lot of time coping these last few weeks after the election, there are a metric fuck ton of things standing in the way in a full blown United States led annexation of your great nation. Trump is not a sane, rational person. He always promises way more than he can deliver. All that 51st state nonsense is just part of his strategy of getting attention and distracting from the actual problems that he causes and that he knows he causes. He says he's going to do something crazy, waits for the outrage to die down, and then does something less crazy but just as bad. Believe me, we put up with him once. We know exactly what he was doing from 2017 to 2021. This happened a lot during his first administration, albeit at a less frequent amount. As for what's standing in the way of him taking your guys' land, I'd say two things. First off, not even his supporters want Canada, namely because it would hurt his popularity. And the second thing is that trying to take Canada would grind our machine to a halt. Our allies would turn on us, the economy would completely collapse, our institutions would either leave or crumble under the weight of their own corruption. We'd be like a hurricane spinning out as it reaches land. Powerful at first, but then slowly losing steam. A war with Canada would be complete political suicide. Not to mention, we're likely going to see federal judges fighting the tariffs at the end of this week, which puts a war out of the question automatically. And you'd also have the military being very against it as well. That said, him still threatening conflict is not a good thing at all, nor are the trade wars. It's just not a fun time for Americans like me either. Believe me, it's getting weird down here. It's not going to happen because the tariffs are a sham. Trump made everybody and their mother talk about tariffs all weekend and ignored Trudeau, who can honestly go fuck himself, only to agree to talking to him on Monday morning because he was using it as a distraction from Elon Musk's assault on federal workers. Musk likely has illegal access to all of this info now while we were distracted by a trade war that's not going to happen in the first place. Just like last week with Colombia striking back with tariffs of their own. So for my American friends watching, call your representatives about this immediately. Even if they aren't aligned with your views, Roger Marshall, they still represent your state. Congress does have the power to get involved with this, but you need to make some fucking noise. I don't think Trump was actually expecting the pushback he got from Canada. That's a good thing. From the outside, down in Australia, in the land down under, Trudeau's speech has gone absolutely gangbusters viral, and people are even now suggesting Canadian brands to support. This is not going to end well for the orange motherfucker, and nobody's going to let this happen, which is why his rhetoric is escalating. It's a tell. Trump is losing. This is not going as he planned. Escalating the rhetoric is the only tactic he knows. Maybe it works with a contractor who has the gall to demand to be paid, but it doesn't work with other nation states. He's a skilled showman and salesman, but he's not a good negotiator, and he's certainly not a good statesman. Another thing that gets me going is how he's already pissed off a ton of federal contractors and national manufacturers like Ford Motor Company, and I think even Northrop Grumman, too. It's like he's being treated with kid gloves by big businesses. The American Chamber of Commerce put out a statement finally saying that the tariffs might be a bad thing for the economy, but it was couched in language like our dear gracious leader whose genius is beyond all others. And then old Muskie boy announced a pause on federal payments to contractors. The top of the list are mostly defense contractors who employ thousands of American citizens. Even if the border states and the Chamber of Commerce are so afraid of Trump that they won't make a firm stand, our military-industrial complex is definitely not known for being a pushover, but so far, nothing of substance publicly. So to any of my Canadian friends watching this, I have this to say. As an American citizen, first off, I'm so sorry our government's causing you so much concern. It's hard to tell you not to worry with everything that's going on right now. A few things. Remember, I'm talking about Trump here. People give him way too much credit than he deserves. He can't run a business or a family properly. I mean, he bankrupted, like 5 or more companies? So he can't run a business or family, let alone the goddamn United States of America. Is he going to do some damage? Yeah, no doubt about it. But he's also just a narcissistic showman. He's a 78-year-old man and has been already showing signs of losing his mind. Things look big and scary right now because that's exactly how he wants things to look to compensate for the failure of a human being he is. What I'm getting at here is, even if he wanted to annex your guys' nation, he wouldn't be able to handle such a daunting task. He'll be shitting his diapers and slurping applesauce before he can even dream of accomplishing that, if you ask me. Now, let's say he does try that. He would need the cooperation of the military, Congress, and the citizens of this country, because remember, it takes an act of Congress to deploy the military. That's to say, you got the liberals and the conservatives to agree on something. There's plenty of people in all of those categories who are pissed off right now, both sides of the aisle, mind you, and they are not going to bend the knee for something like that to happen. Us normal Americans, me, we absolutely fucking love you, Frostbacks, and we are absolutely floored to have you as neighbors. We don't agree with these ridiculous trade wars or any action that would harm you guys or us. So what I'm getting at here is, there likely would be huge resistance if something like that were actually able to pass. We've got your back. Not all of us are self-destructive psychopaths. And thirdly, just remember the quote that says something like, most of the things we worry about never end up actually happening. So take deep breaths and disconnect from the news. It's designed to make you feel fear, anxiety, confusion, shock, all of that shit to keep you watching. If it's causing you that much distress, I myself, a person with a very likely anxiety disorder, I advise you to set a time limit for how much time you spend consuming news media. Worrying about shit is not going to change anything except cause you distress. And look around you. There are plenty of good, sane people. The power is with us. We might be quiet about a lot of things, but that doesn't mean we aren't already resisting this buffoon or aren't willing to when push comes to shove. Hell, look at what your drunk uncle of a province is doing. This was seen in Calgary, Alberta. Nature's healing. I mean, sure, Trudeau can eat a dick, but I'm just glad they're realizing their mistakes. So, you Frostbacks, I got your back. The rest of us do too. So, fuck Donald Trump. None of that shit's gonna go down. So, I'm with you guys.